Okay, wanted to do a video here on this upcoming event, late July, early August, the Plane-cation as they're calling it, just for the next handful of events that are coming up for MTG Arena. And I just wanted to go through it and give my thoughts on the various aspects of it. I'm just going to be using the article as kind of a springboard, or a guide really. I know what I want to talk about, just it's going to guide me through my thoughts. First things first, the um, giveaway for the core 2020 Planeswalker decks is over, and in the description I'll have who won whether you're a person who won a single deck or if you're the one who won one of each deck. And so just check the description, see if your username is there. If it is, shoot me an email or private message. And actually, private message is preferred, so I know it's your username and all that. Um, so yeah, send me a message, and if you're someone who got one deck, I'll take requests for what you might want. I know one person who I think won already requested the Vivian deck, so just first come, first serve on that basis. So I guess give me your first, second, and third picks if you feel like doing that, or if you just want to leave it up to chance, that's fine too. Just let me know, who you are, so I can have a message stream going, and then I will send out those shortly. So, congrats to everyone who won. Now, this Plane-cation, this next set of events for MTG Arena. Let's go through it. Blah, blah, blah. The war's over. Here's the next free event we're doing. Gimmicky stuff, gimmicky stuff. Okay. As you'll play, you'll be able to pick up souvenirs, which are just going to be full art lands, which... Oh, okay. This is cheap factor number one, honestly, um, that I kind of feel is going on with this whole article. Number one, like, yes, we're excited for the full art lands, but also when this was in beta, if you want to call it that, because it's still technically in beta, I guess. But when this game was in beta, and Amon-Ket was in standard, the Amon-Ket lands, the Amon-Ket land full art lands, you could go find in the system already. So the fact that we have to go through this event, and people aren't going to mind going through the event. It's the prize structure that's kind of like, really, because so you're telling me full art lands that we used to have in Amon-Ket, now we have to go through and claim them as prizes, or if we miss that, purchase them for gold when they were just free before. And there seems to be this recurring theme of things that used to be free or cheap that no longer are, that, like, things that are included as prizes for participating in this event or that event, when they really shouldn't be, when it should be like standard that you should just be able to have these kinds of things. And instead of having something really nice and worthwhile, we keep getting these mediocre standard kind of rewards, and it's kind of pitiful. Um, like I said, that's cheap factor number one. But I guess whatever. Full art lands to your collection, fine. Have at it. It's going to be this Ravnica Guild battle format, which we'll get to when we scroll down here. First win will be 1,000 XP. Whoops. First win, 1,000 XP. Whoop-de frickin' who. Like, when this whole system first started, they gave us two codes for 2,000 XP apiece as an apology for not being able to play day one. Like, kudos to you for stepping up to the plate. Here's some XP, but first event that we're having since the launch, and you hit us with 1,000 XP. It's kind of pitiful. Um, but it's kind of whatever as well, because they say there's going to be about 15K in XP as people go through the game, through the season. So I guess the rest of it will eventually trickle out somewhere. So, but it's still like 1,000 XP. It's like, eh. One idea I had, though, that I feel like would be smart of them to do is in like the last week or two of the season, have events where you don't have to pay gold to go into them or any of that crap. But, well, Yeah, they probably won't do this. I was gonna say have it to where you could go grind some levels, but that's just gonna cost them. I guess it would cost them money, even though it really wouldn't. It would cost them money in the sense that those are levels that people could be buying with gems instead of grinding in game. But here's the thing, no one's going to do that. Again, I've talked about it before and I'll say it again. The gems per level, if you just want to level up, 250 gems a level? Like over $1 a level, whose prize structures are significantly less of that per level? Like, why is this 250 gems? It should be 50 gems a level, flat out. If you want to just go to the next thing and are impatient. But it's like, why would you spend 250 gems when, best case scenario, you're going for the next reward that is worth 200 gems? It makes no sense. But anyway, so maybe they'll let us grind a few levels at the end, maybe not, who knows. Probably not, because they're short-sighted, greedy, and cheap. But moving on from that, so this event's going to get us, nice free full art lands. Okay, thanks, Wizards, I guess. Um, there's apparently going to be 2 forests, it says some here, 2 types of forest lands, which is dumb. Just give us like 2 or 3 of each land type in different alternate arts. That might have been significant, but whatever. New events. Okay, here's where they talk about the new events that are coming up: Guild Battle, Standard Shakeup, and Landfall. Okay, this is going to be kind of a big ass rant here because, first of all, oh no, Deputy of Detention is that. Never mind. This is going to be kind of a big rant though, because here's what most people may or may not have noticed already about these decks. So for the Guild Battle, it's kind of it's a neat. The concept is neat, where you go in and you pick a guild deck and you battle with it, and it's everyone who's playing is playing one of the guild decks, so it's just guilds versing one another. So that's the whole gimmick for that first event. Um, there's 2 issues with this though, and I guess I'll talk about the first issue. I guess I'll talk about this issue first, which is they have, if you read kind of the fine print of the last article, they tell you, and I kind of skipped over it, so I guess I missed it because I was assuming things that I shouldn't have. But what they've done is they've already replaced the decks that new players that come into the game will be getting and unlocking right away, so that they're all going to be standard legal come rotation. And these are the decks. I guess that's issue number 2. Is these are the decks. They're the same deck, and they're making an event where the same decks that people already get, you're putting it together in this special event, but there's nothing special about it. I bet you they're going to be the same exact decks, not like stronger versions of themselves, or double and triplicate cards, like maybe a double Krasis, or double Izzet, triple Seraph of Scales, or triple Deputy of Detention. They're probably not going to be that, and it's just, number one, that's lazy. you know it doesn't feel like you've made much of an attempt at making this really event worthy. If the best thing you can come up with is, let's take the still going to be standard legal decks that are for the new players coming to the game, and let's just have a format where people choose from those sealed decks. Like, the idea of choosing from a sealed deck format, that's interesting, and maybe they just want to test the waters, but it's still really lazy when it's like, here are the decks we've already built. We're just going to compartmentalize them into a format where people choose one of the various decks and they verse each other. And it's like, that's half to a third of PvP anyway, like unranked PvP anyway. Like, there's a chance, you've got your noob level decks, which don't happen very often once you've progressed enough. And then you've got your guild decks that most people are running anyways, and they might tweak a little bit here and there, but it's 80 to 90% the same deck. And I think it's so silly that it's like, oh, we have this special event and it's limited time only. Definitely check it out. It's like, dudes, you run across this as a relatively new player. You're gonna run across this anyways. And I guess as an old player, here's a chance to experience the new decks for yourself. But that's one of the first points that I was trying to get to, which was if you read the text of the last update, it says something to the effect of, we're working on this special technology so that the players who have been in the game before this 2020 update, core 2020 update, we're working on an update to where they will also be able to get all of those decks eventually, but they're working on some technology. And that is so stupid. All you have to do is the players that are already in the game. All you have to do is program here. Here's decks. Have an algorithm check where it's like, did they finish the original mastery tree where Sparky's guiding you through everything, or at least the beginning of it? Did they complete those first 25 levels? If the answer is no, don't give them decks. If the answer is yes, give them all the decks. It's that simple, and I don't understand. This is number two. This is the second reason why they look so goddamn stingy. Because here's the consequences. Here's the consequence of this. You got one of two scenarios going on. Okay, first scenario is um you're a new player, or I'm sorry. First scenario is you're a player who has been playing, and sorry, let me back up a little bit. Here's some of the, let's just pick on Rakdos, Demir, and let's go Simic. Here's just an example of the stuff that's in the deck. And the thing about these new guild decks, there's a lot of meta cards that are in this. Carnival Carnage, I mean Shocks obviously. Whatever that one is, I know it's good. Dreadhorde Butcher, Theater of Horrors, Light Up the Stage, Spawn Mayhem, or Spawn of Mayhem, and what else? Bedevil, and a Shockland. That's the standard for every guild deck. So every one of the guild decks is giving you a handful of meta-relevant cards. Very relevant meta-level cards. Whether it's just like one rare of this or one mythic of that, and then a bunch of the good, significant uncommons. Like here you got, Disinformation Campaign, Thief of Sanity. What else was in here? Tyrant Scorn. This guy, I'm not sure how many people use that, but I'm not sure how many people use the Mythic Ether. But there's a lot of stuff here that is meta. And here you got, your Watery Grave. All these decks have meta cards. Hydroid Krasis in Simic, and an Incubation Druid. Meta cards up the wazoo. So, back to what I was getting at. Every one of these decks has really specific meta-relevant cards for that guild that all the decks are using that are very good cards. So, you're in one of two camps. You're in the camp where you didn't know about it, and like me, until you kind of figured it out, and you're considering the decks you want to build and trying to save up your wildcards to build them, and there's going to be overlap. Like, if you decide to go ahead and build that, like when I built Red Rush, okay? For example, when I built Red Rush, there were a couple of cards that I crafted that I didn't need to spend the wildcards on. One of those was a couple of Light Up the Stage, because two come in the Cult of Rakdos deck. Let's see. There's a Steamkin that I didn't need to craft necessarily. And what else? A playset of the Chandra Spitfire that come in the basic fire deck. I didn't need to craft any of those, really, because they're going to eventually be in my account. So, again, you've got one of two groups that are being affected here. You've either got the one group who just doesn't know about it and are continuing to save their wild cards, consider this deck, consider that deck, and get to a point where they can build it all and just go for it, and they end up using wildcards that they don't necessarily need to, had Wizards just simply been like, had the people at Arena been like, let's just give the people the decks. Like, there's no point in making them wait. I mean, there is a point, which I'm getting to, but where the hell was I? Right, you're in the one of two camps. You're in the one camp where you're crafting wildcards when you really don't need to, or you're in the second camp, which is really the more sinister of the consequences, which is, or implications, not consequences, I'm sorry, which is, okay, well, you've been in the game for a little bit. If you want, these copies of Mortify or Light Up the Stages or, Boros cards or what the heck else, Thief of Sanity, things like that, meta cards that people really use, Bedevil, Hydroid Krasis. If you want them and you want to be able to, use them in this competitive season, guess what? We're going to make you use your wild cards on them if you want to kind of hold your own this season. And it's just, this is stingy point number 2, unless I've already said number 2, which I'm sorry. It's kind of disorganized thinking here in my head, which is stingy point number 2. It's like, how much money are you really going to lose if you just give players updated decks? Because I get, the whales that already have all this stuff, they're not going to care because they've already got it. But a majority of players won't have all these really good meta cards to use. Like I said, Mortify, that's huge for, oh god, what the hell is it called? I can't remember, but Orzhov, that's what it is. Mortify is huge for Orzhov. The Izzet deck has a lot of Jumpstart, not Flashback, Jumpstart cards that they use. Selesnya Conclave, they've just all got really good meta stuff for their colors that are used. Like rares, Legion Warboss and Boros Legion, for example. I mean, the rares are only one apiece, but it's usually one rare and like 3 uncommons that you don't have to craft if they would just give them to you. But instead, they're putting you in a position where it's like, if you want to use it in this competitive season, we're going to make it so that you spend your wild cards because we can't have you saving these up. And it's so cheap and stingy and cynical of them to do that. Just give the people their decks. I was going to hold off on making this video because no, never mind, because that's not going to happen either. Because they say somewhere in here that no, I'm getting to that. They say somewhere in here is just the decks of the decks that you'll use. Like, it's just you take the deck, you play with it, and you're done. It doesn't get added to your collection. Period. Which, whatever. And if it's not getting added to your collection, then it means it's not coming in this update. And so, again, they're putting players, they're putting not veteran players, but the people who have recent-ishly started playing, but have been playing for a little bit, like myself. They're putting, a few months, maybe a couple months, few months. They're putting them in a position to where they're making it so that if they want that Legion Warboss, if they want that Bedevil, or whatever the meta card may be, they're making them spend. They're not making them spend their wild cards, but if you want to have that competitive deck, instead of helping you out just slightly, instead of giving you 3 out of the 4 uncommons that your deck is probably going to need, instead of giving you 1 copy of the 3 to 4 copies of a rare your deck's going to need, instead of giving you 1 of each guild's shock land, we're going to make it so that, again, if you want to play optimally, go craft it. And it's like, why? Why? Who thought this was a good idea? Because it's just another negative end user experience that they're making for people. And they don't this isn't this is the new technology for the game we've been working on. This is not new technology, okay? You could have just flipped a switch that gave the people who already had accounts prior to the update these new decks, and you decided not to because you're cheap and you have no respect for your player base. Okay, moving on. Standard shakeup. This I like. Oh, real quick. Point number 3 to them being cheap. Started a new account, and this is how I found out that these decks were implemented this way for new players. That the decks that you're given as a new player post July update are decks that are going to be standard legal come October and not cycling out. The new decks that they've given everyone who signs up as a new player. That's how I found it out. But like I said, third point of just how cheap and stingy and stupid they are with their decisions on what to leave out and what to not give potential customers. Like there's not even this first one is free aspect, but it's like it exists, but it's extremely minimal. But anyway, I'm sorry, getting off topic. Point number 3, guess what code no longer works? Like, kudos for them that, they don't make it so that the sets are only good for, the free packs for the set code. Kudos to them for not making it so that, like, you can only do it one per set, but that you can still go back to Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiance, and War of the Spark, and Core 2020 and get 3 free packs. That's good. But guess what code is expired? The code for the 3 random standard mythics. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Why? Why would you take that out? In a pool of... they made it so that the random cards are no longer... You're not going to be getting them as they cycle out anymore, but actually the code cycled out before that update actually occurred, so it doesn't really matter. But let's just pretend that the code, you're getting 3 random standard mythics, and let's just pretend that, because I didn't get any from like Ixalan or anything that's going to be cycling out, so maybe I got lucky. Maybe some people didn't. I don't know, but let's just pretend that they're all mythics from the Ravnica sets and War of the Spark. Let's assume that for now. There are about 15 mythics in each set. That's a pool of 45 mythics for those 15 mythics to be pulled from. One of those mythics might be useful to everyone on average. Maybe. Less than that, really. So, why have the Mythic Magic code expire? Why not just leave it up? It's like, it's the same thing with the guild deck situations, where it's like, we could have just given this to you, but instead we prefer to force you to unnecessarily spend your wild cards so that you'll better have a chance of competing in this season or 30-day cycle or whatever the heck it is. And it's like, I can't even put into words very well, if at all, how dumb that is, how bad that makes you look, that you can't, provide almost a whole playset of meta uncommons, one of the many rares that they're going to, like one copy of each of the good meta rares that they'll need to build whatever deck, one of each of the shocklands, and now expired random 3 mythics per account. It makes them look so stingy and cheap and without respect for their players. Moving on. Sorry that was long. It's just very hard to wrap my mind around this dumb stuff. Standard shakeup. Just so we're on the same page, this is not an indication of any pending ban or restricted announcement. Basically what all this is saying right here is they're going to have an event where there's a handful of cards that are not going to be allowed to be played. A handful of cards that are going to be banned. Benolosh Marshal, Venerated Loxodon, Nexus of Fate was already banned, Arclight Phoenix, Experimental Frenzy. Basically everything that's tier 1 has been heavily nerfed, including both Teferis. Now, I like this. I like this for 2 reasons. One, it's not a meta that's forced on anyone because it's an event. They want people to try it out. It's not, these standard cards are now banned for like ranked play and not tournament play, but sealed event play, or I'm sorry, constructed event play. That's good that they didn't do that because people would have rioted, and it would have just been another short-sighted decision process, which I'm sure they would have remedied probably because enough people would have bitched and moaned. That's number one. Good job for doing that. Just making it a special event. Number two, this has a lot of potential. I don't think. I have a bad feeling they won't do this, but if they were smart and they thought about this critically and saw the opportunity in front of them, they could implement another ranked system and perhaps some events that come and go. They could implement another ranked system that happens all the time and some events that cycle in and out, but keeping the ranked system all the time. That's strictly tier 2. So you have your constructed/sealed rank. You have your I'm sorry, not constructed/sealed. You have your sealed rank, limited, sealed, whatever you want to call it. You have your limited rank. You have your constructed rank, and then you have constructed tier 2. That would be so much fun for people who are sick and effing tired of, Red Rush, Red Deck wins, who are sick of getting thought erasured turn 2, who are sick of Teferis everywhere. It would be it would be a nice reprieve. Like if you go and you try and make a deck and you go on ranked and you eventually hit that wall, that power level wall of okay, I can't get past this. What's someone to do? Maybe it's time for a break from that and we can go play some nice intuitive tier 2. I'm not going to say that the top tier decks of the tier 2 format won't emerge, but it's like number 1, it's still going to be less toxic than regular standard. Okay. Number 2, you can make adjustments as things go on. Like if one deck's way too overrepresented, then maybe hit a card out of that, hit the consistency a little bit, and then just allow people to still go and have some fun in the game. Like this is something the people at Arena and Wizards don't understand is they're severely lacking in this injection of fun, where there are too many points in the game where you hit this wall it's just not fun anymore, and you are subjected to just toxic, repetitive, overpowered bullshit, and people don't like that. And a very good alternative to that is not ban everything good, not make this entire list official for the whole of standard. Have a separate ranked system that's just the tier below all the tier 1 decks. And I think that would be a lot of fun, and I think people would really enjoy that and appreciate the prize support behind that, because again, it's not just all the toxic decks over and over and over and over again at some point. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Maybe they'll see the gold in front of them and just go for it. Risen Reef, fuck this card, man. Guess I'm getting demonetized, but I don't make money anyway off this, clearly. This card should never have been printed. But anyway. Third event, Landfall. Honestly, I'm not even... Some gimmicky crap about banishing the top card after each turn. I don't know. You gain a life. 2. So, what is this? Let's see. If a card, non-creature, blah, 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 bottom, each opponent loses. So, it's going to be all life gain decks. Pride Mates, Gideon's Company, Acrobatic Aerialist. It's going to be all Orzhov, Sorens, and whatnot. I guess it's all Landfall's going to be. Improvements to the game installer. Good for you. You learned what a patch is. Except the irony is, of course, for this update that fixes that and will just patch the game, you just need to reinstall the whole thing one more time. Just one more time. Everyone needs a log. I guess. I don't care. Cleanup phase. Gimmicky crap. No one cares. That's, I guess, mostly everything I have to say about this update. Quick recap. It's cheap to make cheap, non-impactful prizes the things behind participating in certain events, like full art lands. Another thing is, I really hope they fix this, because I really would like the uncommon glass styles I didn't get to buy during War of the Spark Chronicles. But they say that, if you're not around for this event, they're going to make it so that you can buy them for gold later. Well, they said the same thing about the Planeswalkers from the War of the Spark Chronicles. And guess what? You can't go in the store and get them. Let me pull this up here. You can't go in the Arena store and buy them for gold. Same thing with the uncommons. It's just you can't purchase this right now. So I'm really hoping that they get on the ball on that and make it so they're actually purchasable instead of you just blowing smoke in the wind. All right, let's see. Let's go over here really quick. Decks. This is the new account that I made. Planeswalker, War of the Spark, collected, not collected. Art. Well, Narset's a code. Tibalt, that was an event one. Can't be purchased. Where's a rare? That was an event. Jace was. Jace. Can't be purchased. Waiting on you to allow players to buy the glass styles. Wizards. Please and thank you. Alright, let's wrap this crap up. Number 2, the guild battles. Again, you just look cheap. There's no reason to put this artificial block between people and the decks they want to play. There's no reason to hold back a nice pool of meta cards that you can start with and instead make people, if they want to play them sooner, spend the wild cards. It takes what would be a relatively generous action and make it look extremely cheap by not implementing it and giving some bullshit story about new technology. This isn't new technology. This is laziness and stinginess. That's all it is. And then lastly, again, standard shakeup, really good because it's showing that they understand what's dominating. It's showing that they understand, okay, these cards are obviously a problem. You know, red deck wins, red aggro is obviously an issue. The Teferis are obviously a pain in the ass. Risen Reef, we obviously never should have made this card. Thought Erasure, same thing. Like, no, you don't get to look at my hand turn 2 and discard something that's not a land from it, and then Surveil. Like, screw off. But anyway, positivity in there is they recognize cards that are an issue and are aware of them. So that's nice to know. And hopefully with, I want to say a little bit of luck, but a lot of luck, hopefully, they'll see the potential in this and give us a different ranked structure that is a tier below all the toxic shit that's in Commander at some point in time. You know, whether it's, I'm sorry, not Commander, in Standard at some point in time, whether it's whatever the meta shapes up to be at rotation or the way it is now. You know, it's always going to be a lot of the same decks dominating, and no one likes to lose against the same decks over and over again. So it would be really nice if you could allow all of your players a reprieve from that when they just get tired of it. Because that's what Tier 2 would be good for, to like go in and try, is to just, you know, give it another go. Maybe they'll look into something like that, like maybe ranked for a couple of different formats, like Singleton and whatever the hell else they support here. I guess I can look it up real quick. Let's see. Build a deck. Let's see, we got Standard, Pauper, Singleton, Direct Game, Traditional, Standard, Ravnica block. Honestly, just looking at this, maybe 4. I think 4 ranked systems would be good. Pauper, Singleton, Standard, and just Tier 2 Standard. That'd be really good. That's all I got for this. Sorry, it's very haphazard and not organized. I need to get to sleep, but I wanted to also make this video. So, hope you all enjoyed the content and the discussion. If you did, give it a like, leave a comment. I always appreciate the feedback, and I will see you guys in the next video. That's all I got.